Okay, I'm here with Leon LaRosa. Tell us a bit about yourself, Leon.
Well, thanks very much for having me, first of all, Marcus. I'm Leon LaRosa. I'm a DJ, promoter, radio host, general pest, old man, parent, sleep deprived, who loves house music.
Of course you love house music. How long have you loved house music for?
Oh, since I was about 15, which is
A long time ago. All right, let's park it there.
over 30 years. Anyway.
Do you mostly play house?
I do, yeah. I play one of my club gigs. I play at Jack in House.
Yep.
So heavily influenced by artists like DJ Sneak, Phil Weeks, Derek Carter, and Mark Farina, people like that.
Yep.
At other gigs, I'll play anything from soul, funk, and disco, all the way through to 80s classics. Really depends who the client is. But
Yep.
I love music of all kinds. But if you ask me what kind of DJ I am, I'm a house DJ.
And how much do you play in clubs? How much do you play gigs, corporate stuff?
Do a combination, so probably about anywhere between 6 and 10 gigs per month.
Yeah.
It's a combination of bars, which at my age I like to do because I get to go home at midnight, through to my own events where I would put on a club event. At the moment I'm working with Egg in London. I've done 3 events with them this year, got another 1, hopefully 2 later on in the year. And then, we're all night. I'm rolling out of there at 6 in the morning. Which is really where my heart is. I love doing that.
Yeah, nice. I mean to Egg, yeah? Is it a good club?
Yeah, it's great. It's been there 18 years.
King's Cross, right?
King's Cross, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of changes in that area.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Egg must have been 20 years. Well, it couldn't be because it wasn't open. A long time ago. I remember when it opened.
Yeah, right.
And it was round...
Near where Bagley's was, right?
Exactly. It was in that kind of triangle with the Cross, Bagley's, the Key, and Egg.
Yeah.
So you kind of... bounce between those clubs.
Yep.
Egg was always famous for after hours.
Yep.
So you'd go to Bagley's, you'd go to the Cross, and then when it was getting early in the morning, 4, 5 a.m., you wanted to carry on,
Yeah.
you go to Egg.
Nice.
And it still is kind of famous for that. There is a big contingent when you do an event at Egg, 4 a.m., a lot of people still arrive for those last few hours.
Is it going off?
Yeah. It goes off. It's a great club. They've spent a lot of money in it recently. Really great upgrades to the sound system, to the general environment, the lighting. They're a great team to work with. I really enjoy working with them.
Nice. That sounds fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Okay, we're going to talk about your music library. So let's start at the beginning. Music discovery. What do you do for your music discovery? Where do you find your tracks? That kind of stuff.
Well, it's a combination. I'm time poor. I have a family, a child, a day job, a business to run, all these other responsibilities. So unfortunately, I don't have the amount of time to go searching for music that I would like to have. So I kind of fit it in as and where I can. My main go-to is Traxsource.
Okay, yeah.
I really like Traxsource. I find the quality of music that's on there suits me a lot better, perhaps, than Beatport. I find Beatport to be a bit more commercial. Yep. Even in their genres.
Yep.
Like if I go down to the Jack and House genre on Traxsource versus the new Jack and House genre on Beatport, I find the music just that slight bit more commercial on Beatport.
Yep.
Maybe because they're a much larger organization. They're not, by definition, slightly more commercial. I think Demir's done a lot of great work with them to bring that genre into its own category on Beatport, which is positive for the whole scene. But Traxsource still has that more underground feel for me.
Is it quite curated?
It feels that way. It feels that way to me. I'm not sure if it actually is or not, but it feels that way to me.
Cool.
Outside of the big shops, I get sent quite a lot of great music on promo.
Yep.
So I'm on In-Flight and Promoli as well.
Do you like In-Flight?
I do, yeah. I do like In-Flight.
Talk to lots of people that really like using it.
It is. It's a great service, and it's a good way. I don't produce music, so I don't know it from that side, but I'm guessing it's really positive to be able to produce music, or if you're a label, I guess, not a producer, but a label, to be able to send pre-release tracks to DJs and get feedback on them.
Yep.
I mean, I'm from an era where the equivalency was to go to a record shop as a DJ and get white labels, or not from the shop, get sent them if you're a DJ, and then inside the sleeve was a feedback form. It's a paper feedback form. You wouldn't believe it.
Oh, really?
It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. So if you got sent a white label by a label, they wanted your feedback on it. So you'd take it, you play it in the club, and you'd fill in the feedback, and you'd send it back in the post.
Cool.
Yeah. If anyone is still like digging for vinyl in record shops, you can still find them in the old vinyls, feedback forms. Every label did them. But it's the same thing, brought more up to date now. So if you're a label, you can push out this your product to a huge amount of DJs or a small amount of DJs, whoever you want, and get immediate feedback straight away. And I think that must be incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
For me as a DJ, it's really valuable because I get great music ahead of general release.
Yep.
So I can feature it on my radio shows, I can play it, I can talk about it, I can reach out to the artists
Yep.
over social media, and that is a very positive thing for me.
Nice. And so you find your tracks either from TrackSource or from InFlight. You download them to Mac or Windows.
Windows, I'm a Windows user.
Nice.
Yeah, I just never really got on with them, man.
Okay, fair enough. And well, one of the things we've learned doing this podcast is everyone's got a totally different way of doing things.
Yeah.
There was a guy yesterday we were talking to who tags all his music by key, by ear.
Oh,
So he
yeah.
doesn't use mixed in key or...
Wow.
Yeah, I know. He goes through the whole lot and does it by ear. I was like, that's pretty amazing. And does his whole set by key. Do you mix harmonically?
No.
Not really? No?
This is kind of, I
It's
spent...
more about the tracks?
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
crowd.
Weirdly enough, I do use mix and key, and I do analyze all my tracks for key through mix and key.
Yep.
And I don't know why I do it, because I completely ignore it. I think it must be a weird kind of OCD. My process for it is I will grab all my tracks from wherever, I'll run them through mixed in key, and then I will use a program called Media Monkey, which is quite an old program now,
Okay.
to do my ID3 tag management.
Uh-huh.
So in the comment section, I'll always write a comment.
Nice.
It starts with an E number, an energy number.
Yep. Do you get that from mixed in key or you made that yourself?
I make that myself.
Yeah.
Even though Mix and Key can do it.
Yeah.
I feel that if I allow software to do too much,
Yep.
I won't know the track.
Yeah, and I think particularly with the energy, with the key, it's a bit more defined. But I think
Yeah.
with the energy, it's quite hard to analyze for the computer to analyze that because energy is a bit more subjective, maybe.
Exactly. Like you might see a track and think that's a high energy track.
Yeah.
For me, that might be like a warm up track.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of DJ you are, or vice
Right.
versa.
Right,
So for
right.
me, tagging the tracks and working with the tracks myself is really important.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of based in. When I started DJing, I was using vinyl largely. Well, there wasn't anything else. I'm
Yeah.
from an era even before CDs, if you can believe that. There was only vinyl.
Yeah.
But you got it, you had it, you listened to it, and you put it with other records that were similar. It was a manual process.
Yeah.
And you touched each one. You knew where it was, exactly where it was in your crate. It was a visual, tactile format. You can remember the sleeves of the record that I used to buy 30 years ago. And if someone says, "Oh, I remember that record," instantly I know what it looked like.
Yep.
Modern day, obviously, you don't really get that. But if I haven't been through that track and written a comment into the
Comments in the ID3 tag, yeah.
ID3 tag, if I haven't done that, I don't remember it as well.
Yeah.
And I find it hard enough already to kind of get through the amount of music that I need for a weekly radio show and a monthly bi-weekly radio show. I have to have some kind of interaction with them, otherwise I just don't know what it is.
Yep.
So my tagging process goes from downloading everything, running it through mixed and key for the key analysis,
Yep.
which I completely ignore.
Yeah.
Then I run it through Media Monkey, open them all up. I do a genre tag, so I'll have it'll be house dash something. So it might be house dash soulful, house dash deep, house dash jackin, house dash classic, and I do like a batch then. Because if I bought a load of records, a load of tracks rather from somewhere, I'll know that like I'm going to buy classic records today.
Yeah.
I tag them all as classic, and then I go through
Check the
individual.
file names or just the ID3 tags?
Just the ID3 tags.
Yep.
So the genre field is already there, and the
Yep.
comments field. They're the only ones to mess about with.
Yep.
And I'll just leave everything else as it is.
Yep.
And once I finish through all that through Media Monkey, that's when I take them into Record Box and start the not analysis. The
beat grid, cue
the
points,
beat grid,
beat-
loops, all those kind of things.
Do you, when you're downloading from TrackSource, are they MP3s, 320 MP3s, or WAVs, or?
I just use 320 MP3s.
Yeah.
I know people say WAVs are better, blah. There's a lot of snobbery about it. To me, it's like a bit bullshitty.
Even when you're playing in a big sound system in the egg,
Yeah.
it's fine.
To me, it makes no difference.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure if you're playing like, main stage cream fields,
Yeah.
it makes a difference.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, cool. So you've got them down, you've done your tagging, you've run them through mixed and key, you've tagged them in Media Monkey, you put in your comments, and your comments is notes to self, so that when you come back in the future, like, oh yeah, that was this kind of vibe, or that kind of,
Exactly. It is the vibe. So obviously with dance music, you can kind of generalize them a little bit. Certainly I do. So I've got a, tag it with deep house tags. So
Yeah.
it goes in, it automatically goes into that smart playlist with deep house.
Yeah.
Then the first part of my comment is an E number, like from E1 to E5.
Yep.
E1 is low energy.
Yep.
E5 is the highest energy in that category.
Yep.
But there are also kind of parts where you might use, like a lower energy track might have a really great bass line, and you can see yourself using that at peak time.
Yep.
So that's in the comments. So
Yeah,
I put in the
got it.
comments, warm up track could be used high, it could be used at peak time, pitch up for peak time or something like that.
Nice.
Or, amazing breakdown in the middle, or the vocals really, really high pitch, turn the highs down a bit.
Yep.
Or there's a part of a track that I don't like, or only use half of this, or,
Sick drop, whatever,
exactly.
yeah.
Great drop, great vocal,
Yeah.
percussive, bass driven, rolling bass line. I like music that has that kind of rolling bass line feel to it, so that's one I use quite a lot.
Nice.
And it's just those comments that help me in the booth to get from one track to the other.
Yeah.
When I'm approaching a gig, I don't just go in cold. I like to have like a playlist prepared.
So
But
you
I'm very-
create a playlist in
Yeah.
Rekordbox.
Exactly. But when it comes to it, you might start off your first couple of tracks, but then something will change. You realize there's energy's going a different way, and having all of the comments and the spending the time working with the tracks properly, that's where that enables me to go to different parts.
Yep.
Maybe I want to go deeper for half an hour, or especially if I'm doing a long set, or if I may want to, everyone's like really on a higher vibe, even for this time, I need to get this going faster. So I need to jump to another part of my library
Yep.
to get those higher energy parts or those higher energy tracks going.
So if you're doing, how long's a long set for you?
8 hours.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, but I love doing long sets. I mean, I know that the trend for short DJ sets is driven by festivals. Festivals, 1 hour sets, a million DJs on the lineup, and I get that. I promote my own events. I understand why festivals do that. I think it's detrimental.
Yeah.
Because I think that new people who are getting don't want to use the word kids, it sounds condescending, but young boys and girls who are getting into the scene, they're getting their first controllers at 15, 16 years old. You can learn how to DJ in school now. It's on the GCSE syllabus, which is amazing.
Amazing.
But these people are seeing 1 hour sets, 45-minute sets, and thinking that's what DJing is.
And going 1-2 minutes a track and
Exactly.
dong, dong, dong.
Or just going somewhere and just downloading like the Beatport Top 10 and thinking, I just play that, and
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Until you really get into the habit of doing longer sets, understanding the ebb and flow of the night, how you warm up, how
It's
you
the
manage
journey,
energy
right?
in the middle,
It's-
how you
you're
finish on
taking
peak
the
time.
crowd on a journey.
Exactly. How you build energy, and really importantly, how you reduce energy as well. Really, you've got to
it's fine
experience
to
that.
go up, 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 up.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to.
Yeah. If
Come
you're
down
a
again.
resident somewhere, this is what I always recommend, like young DJs who send me messages like, I want to come and play for your egg and blah, blah, blah. It's great. I love getting the messages, but I always say, where do you play? What do you do? And the experience of being a bar resident
Yeah.
seems to be lacking. Kids don't go for that anymore. They want to play like peak
Don't
time.
want to skip that step.
Exactly, you want to completely skip it, when really it's the most educational activity a new DJ can be. Because if you're starting at 7 o'clock in the evening in a bar and you're playing till midnight, 12:30,
Yeah.
you got to manage everything, like the build-up, the mid part. You got to manage when groups leave, new groups come in. You got to change your energy. You got to change everything you do all the time, and that's when you really learn how to manage a dance floor, how to work with a crowd,
You
how to
can't just
communicate
come
with
in
the
and
crowd.
turn it up to 11 and do an hour and off you go.
And really importantly as well, even experienced DJs forget this. If you're in that kind of environment where you're a resident in a club, resident in a bar, the bar and the club are there to sell drinks.
Yep.
So you've got to understand there are periods in the night where you've got to reduce that energy, let people cool off and go to the bar and buy drinks, because ultimately that's how everyone gets paid,
Go to the
right?
loo.
Yeah, exactly. People need breaks.
Yeah.
You need to build it up and you need to reduce it and you need to build it again.
Yeah.
And understand how that works with the records you've got.
Yeah.
And that comes back to why my process for analyzing music is all about understanding how I can use different music to either build energy or reduce energy.
Yeah.
And the tagging and the comments
Help
and
you with
it
that.
helps me to do that. So in some circumstances, the same record that I would use to build energy can also be used to reduce energy, because I'm going down the ladder in reverse.
Yep.
So yeah, so music management, it's one of those things that is a bit of a pain for me, because I don't spend as much time doing it as I like.
Yep.
But once I do it, I'm into it and I do it well.
So you use Rekordbox. Do you export to USB? Do you play on CD chairs?
Yeah, I use USB. I export
Do
to
you have a
USB.
laptop? Not really?
Occasionally, yeah. I do take my laptop to some bar gigs.
Yeah.
Simply because they don't have equipment, and I've got a controller at home. It's not a standalone, which I kind of wish I'd bought a standalone now. But I don't like
What control have you got?
I've got a Pioneer DDJ 1000.
That's cool.
Which I love. It's a cool controller. It's really great. It's perfect for recording radio shows.
Yeah.
I really like it. But I don't like having a laptop in front of me when I play.
Yeah.
I find it like a barrier. And however hard you try, you're always looking at it.
Checking your emails.
Yeah, exactly. And you look like checking your emails. But even the big guys like Marco Carolla.
Yeah.
If you watch him, he's always looking at his laptop.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, I should be looking at the crowd, not the laptop.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to criticize Marco Carolla, obviously. He's one of the biggest DJs in the world. That works for him. Yeah, of course. I saw Dubfire in the pod here last night. He's one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And he uses a laptop.
Yeah.
And he stares at his laptop a lot. But for me personally...
But he had no decks.
Yeah, he used...
So he's got a mixer. What did he have?
K2 controller, TB303, the Boutique Roland 303, drum machine, and a V10, the Pioneer V10 mixer. Well, I mean, that guy's a genius. He does what he does, and that's him 100%. They can't knock any of that. But for me personally, the laptop, I'm not on that level.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm using CDJs and a mixer, or the equivalent of a controller. I'm not using drum machines and all that, all those kind of things. So there's no. I prefer to just be able to communicate with the cloud without this kind of glowing thing in front of me.
Yeah.
And also, I spend most of my life in front of screens. I want to escape.
Right. Don't we all? Totally. Okay, cool. And so, use Rekordbox. Do you ever use Serato Tractor? No, because you're just prepping your tracks basically for your USB mostly.
That's right. I used to be a Tractor user. I was a Tractor user for many years actually, and I do like Tractor as a product. I think it's really, really good. And weirdly, I used Tractor when I came back to DJing after a long time. So I've DJed for over 30 years, but in some, for years at a time, kind of gone away from it and then come back to it and gone away from it and come back to it again. And when I came back to it most recently, which is probably about 10 years ago now, I went to Tractor. A friend of mine who's a DJ was using it and he showed me. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so I looked into it, started using it, and that was really what got me back into it again.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Native Instruments. Thanks very much for that. It's a great product, and I know Dubfire still uses it. It's a great product. If you're a certain kind of DJ and you want to use all of the tools, go for it. For me, it was the stepping stone back into. I actually went from Tractor back to vinyl again.
Right.
Because I found...
You still play vinyl sometimes?
Yeah, of course, I still have my decks at home. It's difficult to find somewhere you can play vinyl now because clubs and bars just aren't set up for it.
Yeah.
But it's something I enjoy. And, I still buy records. I don't. I buy some new stuff on vinyl, but I tend to buy old stuff on vinyl.
Yeah.
Stuff that I had 20 years ago and then lost or forgot, and I'll have to go and buy it again.
Yeah.
But I like the physicality of going to a record shop and actually looking for things.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what I was saying earlier on about the kind of the tactile physical nature of vinyl. I can flick through a thing of old vinyl, and as soon as I see that label, that either like a Strictly Rhythm label, I'll know I've got to pull that out.
The sleeve and the color
sleeve,
and everything, yeah.
Or a record that I had 20 years ago and haven't listened to in 20 years, I'll be going, oh yeah, I know that record because it's ingrained in there.
It's that sort of visual, sort of more creative parts on that.
I wish there was a software or some way of working with digital files that has that immediacy.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a different thing.
And somehow the album artwork just doesn't quite get that.
Looking at it on my phone.
Yeah.
Another screen.
Yeah, totally. Favorite clubs you played at?
Egg. Obviously, I love playing at Egg.
Yeah.
I played at Ministry of Sound a few times. I really like playing there. I used to play regularly. Used to run an event regularly at a venue called the Magic Roundabout in Shoreditch.
Oh, cool.
Which was great fun.
Place.
It was a fun place. For those people who live in London now, in Shoreditch, there's a huge roundabout on Old Street.
Right.
It's not a roundabout anymore. It's kind of like a U-about now. It changed. But it's on top of the roundabout in the middle. There was a pop-up club opened called the Magic Roundabout. And it was kind of made of wooden pallets and bits of old doors and corrugated plastic because they had a 6-month window.
Yep.
So the people who owned it, let's throw up a pop-up for 6 months. And it was really good. Put a sound system in, a DJ booth. It was really, really popular.
Yeah.
And eventually ended up being there for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such good fun. I really enjoyed playing there. Where else have I played? Played at Cargo in Shoreditch, Traffic, lots of kind of some going way back, there's a club called the Gardening Club in Covent Garden, which is now an Apple store.
All right.
Played there a couple of times. I really enjoyed it there.
So you got a residency at Egg. We've just played there regularly.
I'm a promoter for
You're
it.
a promoter for
Yeah,
Egg.
so
you
no-
put on your own nights there.
Yeah, put on my own nights there.
What's the name of the night?
La Rosa.
La Rosa, of course it is. Yeah. And so what's your Insta if people want to find you?
I'm at La Rosa UK.
Okay, perfect.
You can find me on Sunday nights on Balearica Music, coming out of Ibiza. Every 2 weeks on EXT Radio, live in Hackney. Or, like I say, on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram because I'm old.
Amazing. We'll get your links and put them in the show notes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for talking to us, Leon.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day. Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much.